That's nice. Oh, we're going back 10,000 years when everyone had free Wi-Fi. They could talk to any god they wanted, any tree, any rock would talk back to them and tell them what life means. We lost some of that along the way. We kept the left brain, the logical, linguistic, socially organized, how to do things, fix-it man, homo habilis. We kept that part of the brain, and the other part we turned into the unconscious, the dark side of the brain. And this side does show up when we dream at night. It comes out as dreams, which could be nightmares or fabulous volcanoes and jungles and waterfalls and swallowed by whales. Mythical lore, folk tales, all these magic things that we have no idea what they mean, used to mean something. We used to know what they meant. So we've lost something along the way. The age of reason, the age of enlightenment, science, they all basically looked at these superstitions and the crazy dark impulses, the savage impulses of the human experience and basically said no. I suppose religion called it devil and the science called it fantasy and only imagination. Very British, very poo-poo, and we want to go there anyway. The reason is because it may not just be fantasy, it may actually be our heart talking. It may be our body, wisdom, knowing something to tell us about illness and how not to get sick. Our body knows how to do things. You give a child 25 food groups and they will balance their meals and choose certain things. We probably did get caught up into salts and sugars and fats in fake processed foods from starvation times wired into our genes, and we learned how to eat the wrong food. But the truth is, our body knows how to regulate and find itself and stay healthy, I might add. Our body also knows how to find joy. And if it's not dancing, it knows it needs to dance. If it's not hugging somebody, it really feels alone. And so we have to answer to our body. This is a really big step I'm suggesting we all take today and right now. A step back 10,000 years where we reincorporate our body, mind, spirit, heart with our logical brain. Our logical brain is good. It structures things. It's necessary. As Alex told us earlier today, the rest of that stuff is unnecessary because we don't need it to drive a car, to get our taxes, to pay our phone bill. But we may need it for other reasons. People are getting sick, I feel, sometimes because their heart is not at ease, because they're not feeling comfortable in their mountains about themselves. Self-shame, self-doubt, self-criticism, and as well as self-pride, I might add, are all ego concepts that basically we don't need to actually prioritize. We can go into another part of our being, which includes wisdom of circle, where we have everyone else around us. There she is, Magda. We have everyone else around us. Everyone else around us is contributing to our happiness. Earlier today, Magda's meditation ceremony was used in circle to settle the bruised egos of 7 different people. It was great. Meditation has that job. So what I'm going to do is show you a drumming technique that will, within 10 minutes, take you.
And if you don't have a drum, you can use the rattle or a simple plastic bag or anything that makes any sound.
anything that makes this repetition sound, will take you on a journey. It's kind of a boring sound, no big deal, not hard to learn. And the purpose of doing that is it shuts the brain down just the same way as when you fall asleep. It shuts down some of your critical, logical thinking activity brain, and allows you to open up and access other parts of your brain, which we obviously really need to do. We have this astonishing brain that's fired up all the time. The scientists with the encephalograms put wires all over the head, and they find out that the left brain is going all the time, and the right brain is going all the time. And at nighttime, the left brain falls asleep, and the right brain is still going. And that's amazing, because that's where the dreams come from. But this dreaming brain is actually happening during the day too, only it's been shut out by the thinking brain, literally upstaged. My point is we want to go to use both brains, because what happens on the right brain, the unconscious side, is a lot about reconstitutive functions. The right brain fixes things. That's why the dreams that Carl Jung talks about have reconstitutive functions. The dreams work for us to make us sane, healthy, kind of more satisfied in life, and basically removes us from degenerating into babbling messes. The right brain is really basically a great friend. Huh?
And brings us joy and happiness, and also adds to the balance in life.
Exactly.
We can have everything, all the successes in life, and if we like shut off that one part, nothing brings us happiness. And at least 10 people this week mentioned to me, like, you know, nothing brings joy to me anymore. Like, I have everything in my life, but I'm not happy. You know, how do you answer that?
This is really astonishing. The joy concept was probably materialism and success and getting the bills paid and having, you know, lots of cars. But the point was that the happiness wasn't there, and or wherever the happiness is. You might have a perfect partner, and you're not happy with your best partner. What the hell? So what we do is when we take a drumming journey, we ask that question, and the answers come from a different source. They come from our heart, our body, and it basically says, no, your partner is still perfect. You just are looking in the wrong place. You need to be looking at her feet, as an example. Her feet are delightful. They're wiggling and they're alive. And if you kiss the feet and nibble on the feet, you know, she will start, you know, giggling, and you will have a window to her soul. And who thought about the feet? Well, of course, your body knows this very well, but we get a little logical, and we kind of miss some of the corners of our best resources, like our partner. My point is that really, we have to open up our imagination, and we have to open up a bunch of ways of looking at the same question in order to refine the happiness. And if we
also
don't,
that connection to ourselves. Like, sometimes we don't really know, you know, many things about ourselves. So how to find that connection to, you know, your own heart, your own self.
that should be right up front, but for some reason it's been put in the background by the logical thinking brain, and that's really important. I did ask Alex, however, our techie accountant, super fix-it man, about this question about the unconscious, and he said, no, don't do it. It doesn't go into the unconscious. And he said quite clearly, it's not necessary. Like, wow. And I had to rethink, and I asked Alex again, okay, what about your heart? You know, I'll give you 5 seconds to access your heart. And he says, okay, sure, I go sailing. And good answer. But wow, what's that? Turns out sailing, as he said, was where I get to be relaxed and free and myself. He gets to, in other words, stop the world of his fix-it businessman mentality. And sailing is a place where he's free to pretty much find out what his heart wants to tell him. So sailing, what's the right answer?
Yeah.
Sailing is a meditation. It's the right answer. For him, it shuts down the default working day world. That's really the point. We're really doing a magic journey to leave the default world called ordinary reality and to walk into non-ordinary reality, which is also ours. It's where our grandmother wants to talk to us. She's dead, but she really has something to tell us. It would be nice to, if we could listen to her. There might be, in the non-ordinary reality, place a power animal that's actually yours, has been for your whole life, an animal that represents your own true nature, I've got these women and they talk about Black Panther, and you look at them and you realize, yeah, that is a Black Panther talking. Another woman is a bear, and you can see her big bear stuff. Another person is a hawk, and they have that kind of focus. And everybody has a different power animal that gives them, what a surprise, power. And it also gives them access to how to interpret their dream world and the metaphors, myths, folklore that we all have inherited from books and the religions. All of these great visitations and revelations of the gods and the animals and the folk people and the ogres and the giants and the leprechauns. We've all inherited all those things, but we watch television, but we don't go there ourselves. We don't go visiting leprechauns recently. Anybody seen a leprechaun recently? And the answer is, why not? Let's go. So
it's amazing because power animals show up like all around the globe, right? No matter like which cultures.
Everyone has power animals.
Siberia to South America.
And even to New York City. And every single kid, you ask them their power animal, and you will say, turns out that Katie over there has toucan, and she knows it. And I eventually got
and the Native American that we met last year in Nevada, coyote, you know.
Yeah.
That's a guide. So no matter what culture or tribe.
And it turns out the reason is the way everyone's got a power animal is for the last couple 100,000 years, we've all been living inside of an animal ambient. We're like, everyone's been living inside the Serengeti desert, really, if you think it's Serengeti plain, with zebras and wildebeest thundering across, lions, etc., vultures flying around. Everyone has basically been living inside of an animal ambient until very recently. 2,000 years is like, as we know, a drop in the bucket. So we're going to go find your power animal because you have one. And why not? I'm not giving you one. And so what I want to do is this. I want to drum for you. I want anyone listening to this webinar to close your eyes.
You can sit in your chair, just close your eyes, sit comfortable.
Wait for 10 minutes. And you're going to picture a hole in the ground, or a hole in a tree, or a dark pond in the deep part of your closet, something dark. You're going to picture something from your memory, roots, climbing through the roots in the embankment to get darker and darker, a cave, a tunnel, a cesspool. We're going to go down into this dark hole, and in 2 seconds, don't stay there. You're going to go through the hole, and you're going to get to the other side, and that other side will be a landscape, a forest, a jungle, mountain, beach, snow, rain, any landscape at all, meadows. You're going to land somewhere else through the hole. You're going to end up in a landscape. And then you call out for your power animal. Hello, I'm looking for you, my power animal. Where are you? With longing and desire. Your power animal has been with you, but it's kind of wandered off from neglect. You forgot to call and join your power animal. And today we're doing it now. If you do find your power animal, you will have immediately made a shift to a shamanic state of consciousness. You're shifting from ordinary reality to non-ordinary reality. You're shifting your brain from your left brain to your right brain, to your dreaming side. You're basically moving into a dreaming state, auto-hypnotic state. And this is a place, but you're awake, which is very amazing. And then when you do that, you will be able to access source, meaning cosmic revelation, talk to any old women who might represent your lineage, any old healers, any old selves, any old relatives from 200 years ago, any past lives. Whatever you need to access, it's kind of there. Like anybody, you want to stay awake and stay present and say, who are you? And what's your name? And this is me. And what can we do together? And what wants to happen now? Why are you here? Is there something you want to tell me? Basically, in other words, instead of like looking at it passively, we ourselves are walking into this remarkable place with intention. We're actually walking into our dreamland saying, what do I want to happen in this dream here? So we're really, instead of like remembering our dreams in the morning as if they came to us from who knows where. We're actually going into the dream saying, I want this to happen now. I want to find out, you know, the best way to experience my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my son, whatever. Is there something not quite connecting? Is there something not fired up correctly? And sometimes we feel a sense of absence or a sense of loss, a sense of half-assedness, you know, like we're not really quite present in life. So we really want to find out how to be fully engaged, fully awake, fully present. And we have situations where, you know, that's not happening, like Thanksgiving dinner. We're going to Thanksgiving dinner and it's kind of dysfunctional and we're sitting there and everybody's saying the wrong stuff and it's kind of going south, and we have to figure out what's going to make this dinner family. What's going to make this dinner a love smush? Why is it not like that in my family, you know? And then it turns out that, well, when we were 11 years old, this happened and we got spanked and this happened and we're still holding grudges. And, you know, so we get to look at these things, put them on the table. Those are called pain bodies and old stories that we're nursing our wounds. And we basically get to say, no, actually, mom is fine now and dad is great now. And so we get to get over it. So we get to bring the old pain body into the present moment, and all healing is in the present moment, which is where you are now, at the age you are now. And that's really important. You get to be who you are now. So we don't have to carry the old baggage with us all the time. We get to pull the thorn out of our foot, there we go, and keep dancing. And I think anybody who's a healer, who wants to get into shamanism, is really looking at a person sitting on the side of the road, nursing a thorn in their foot, and basically saying, hey, what do you feel about that thorn? You kind of feel like you want to pull it out now? And they go, no, my thorn is, this happened to me, he did this to me. They've basically taken their pain body and turned it into their ego. I'm a victim, you know, and you basically have to take your identity of this pain and say, maybe we can let go of that. We have to remove it from the ego. We have to remove our grudges and say, I don't really need this grudge anymore because I already forgive these people. In fact, those people were kind of my teacher. So it's a long story. Let's get you, instead of explaining what this world is like, we're going to get you to a place where you get to go down the tunnel, cross over to this magical world, explore it for yourself, and make your own decisions about what's over there. You'll find out, for one thing, that the really bad, negative, ugly bear over there who wants to eat you is really your power animal. And when he kind of eats you up and chews your face and you chew his face back, you've merged with bear, and it's actually a happy ending because now you are bear. So basically, what may look like a dark, dangerous situation is actually a very happy one. Our power animals are very powerful. We get scared by them, but the truth is they are really just merging with us. So let this happen. When we have nightmares, they probably are reconstituted as well. In other words, they don't make us sicker, they make us more healthy because they give us good warnings and they also show us how clever we are. Let's get going so you too can get all of your own answers for yourself, by yourself, not from me, in the wisdom of circle, where basically we ask for help from our spirit people. So it has nothing to do with me. I'm simply taking you to this place where you have your own helpers, your own spirit guides to draw upon. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to pay me any money. I'm not going to teach you something. You're going to have direct access to source. I'm giving you the operating manual for your cosmic connection. 7 beats starts the journey. It will be a 10-minute drumming journey. As I said, you will picture a hole from memory. Go down that hole for 2 seconds. Don't stay there. Get to the other side. Find a landscape. There it is. It shows up. Call up for your power animal. Join your power animal. Run with your power animal. Go to your mountain with your power animal and ask the power animal, what wants to happen now for me on my mountain? What does that mean? And we're going to take a 10-minute journey, and then I will call you back. Once you have connected with your power animal, you're on your own. The journey will be, no surprise, mythical, folkloric, fairy tale, magic. Go. finish your work? What wants to happen now on your mountain with your power animal? 2 more minutes. 7 beats brings you back from your journey. 7 beats ends the journey. Come back up the hole. Come back up the same hole that you went down. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. Back to middle world. It happens to be what, July 9, 2016, and we're in Mays, Pennsylvania. That's called the middle world. We left a place just now that has no time, it's eternal. Stop the world, Alex is going sailing, and he's left the middle world. And cyclical time, mythical time are possible now. Chronological time is where we are now, and where we were before is mythical and cyclical time. Very strange time. It can be very, very immense. We can go back thousands of years. We're looking for your journey that you took. I would write everything down, every little detail. Could be quite important because they're all little messages in the journey, just like in any folk story. Every little detail in the story about the frog becoming the prince or whatever has a metaphorical, magical meaning. Many meanings. They're symbolic. They're root metaphors. They mean many things to you. So writing them down allows you to reflect for the next 10 years on what happened. We have to remember that the black elk, as a 12-year-old boy, had a vision quest up in the mountain, and it was pretty intense, and he forgot about it for about 50, 60 years. An anthropologist, later on, when he was 80 years old, had him record his vision quest, and it was called Black Elk Speaks, and suddenly he realized it was a vision quest for the entire Lakota nation. And he was not, at 12 years old, aware of that. The point is that very large things can happen in these journeys, majestic, magnificent, inscrutable things. Write them down because they're very important. They happen in a real time of its own kind of time anyway, even if you don't understand it. So your dreams are really quite amazing. Are there any questions?
Hi there.
Yes.
Thank you, Barnaby. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's quite refreshing coming back into the middle world. Very interesting. So can you just tell us a little more about how one who is a beginner and just starting journeying would find their channel? How would they find their hole? Does it need to be something
Let's start there.
they are familiar with, or can it be a fantasy or something that they can imagine?
Ursula, what do you answer?
I couldn't.
Oh, she wanted to know how people might find their home, in case that's a difficult question.
I'm laughing because we already designed the whole workshop about it. No, I'm just kidding. how to find an entrance to the journey.
Yes.
You know, it can be simple as opening the door. Like, imagine that you go into another room and you open the door and there is, you know, your home. If you have troubles, you know, remembering the smell of the tree or the cave, you know, just imagine the old attic that you were opening when you were going to your grandmother's attic, and that's your entrance.
The important thing is that it's probably best not from imagination only, it's from your real memory. And the reason is because your real memory has this hologram of sounds, tastes, temperature. You're with dad, you're 12 years old, there's a pink dress. You have so many memories around the particular hole. So if it's a real one, it really gets fixed. Because you have to remember, we want you to use this hole 50, 60, 200 times across your lifetime in many journeys. And it should be the same hole because it should take about 2 seconds to go down the hole because you find the hole. The purpose of having a real hole is because it's really easy to find. Once you remember that old cave that you looked at when you were 12 years old, that was dark and damp inside, once you remember that
place under the bed you were hiding as a child.
Exactly.
You know,
once you remember that, then you get to go there really fast, and you don't have to like spend 10 minutes looking for another hole every time, or wondering where it is. I can't find my hole because the memories are so good at pinpointing an exact location. Basically, the neurons are collocate. They form a vector that takes you to that hole. It allows you to jump across the corpus callosum really quickly to get on with your journey. That's why we want a specific hole. It may take you 5 minutes to just think about and remember, oh yeah, I remember that big pipe in the ground I stared into and it looked really kind of icky. Well, the nice thing about icky holes is you don't want to stay there anyway. You just run through the blackness and it comes through. I have a dark pond. I jump in the pond. It gets cold and wet and muddy at the bottom of the pond, but it gets blacker and blacker, and before long, within about 1 second, when I think I need to breathe, suddenly I'm in the night sky flying, and I can see a crow flying next to me, and so obviously my hole is no longer a yucky, dark, muddy pond, but it becomes the night sky. That's the case. You go through the hole, it gets black and blacker. If it's a closet, you open the closet door, you pull back a few dresses, it gets darker, you step in, it gets darker, you go to the back, it's black, and before long, you're in Narnia, you're in some other location.
Yeah, I always go to my basement in the old building that I used to live, and it's just a basement, that magic door that I remember opening always, and was a little scary, but not really, and it was dark, and that's my entrance. Mm-hmm.
So the hole is something that the people can practice a couple times, 2 or 3 times. They find a good hole, they get through, and after that, it's the same hole every time, and they get through in 5 seconds, and it's just done. It's this little roadblock for finding a hole isn't that hard, and about, I would say, 1 out of 100 people struggle to find a memory of a hole, and then they do, and then it's okay. The next one is if they find their power animal. 1 out of 100 people.
But it's a practice. But it's a practice that takes, you know, any field, meditation, dance. You just have to. It takes a couple times sometimes to, you know, to get more comfortable with it.
It's probably these. I've done this thousands of these, and I must say that pretty much everyone finds their hole and finds their power animal by the 3rd try. 90% of the people find it on the 1st try, even more. In my circles, out of 25 people in the circle, 1 person does not find a power animal on their 1st try. So you try a 2nd time, and then you've spent another 15 minutes looking. It's not that big a deal. Any other question?
Just one more question that I had. While you were drumming and I exited my hole, I did see many different creatures, and there was a lot going on, and some of them seemed to be willing to communicate, and some did not seem very friendly. Are there any rules of conduct how to interact and approach whatever you encounter?
Yeah, I would say approach it actively, engage the situation. In other words, you're not just watching, it's your journey, so take it. So if there's a lot of animals, pick the ones that you most resonate with. Are you my power animal? Can you take me to my power animal? If it's a little white rabbit, it's probably going to take you to your power animal. Jump on its back, of course. If it's a wolf, run with it, run with the horses, etc. It's an engagement. It's basically, don't forget, these power animals are a little shy and a little strange because you've spent 20 years not bothering to hang out with your power animal. So anybody who's hang out with horses for 10 years knows all about the horses, their nature, how to groom them, how to approach them, walk from behind, don't pet them on the fanny right away, whatever. The thing is that you know what to do. So what happens is, when you get to your power animal, it could be rather shocking. Like a bear shows its teeth and claws at you, might even rip you apart. And it seems a little bit, brutal. However, everyone reports that the bear puts you back together again, or that you became bear, or that now you're walking with bear as if nothing happened, as friends. So suddenly it turns out that these rather gruesome things, because a lion definitely is trying to show off and demonstrate its powers, but these rather gruesome things are in power animal journeys are really just, like I said, getting to know you. And don't forget, we see the way wolves and lions play with each other. It looks like they're killing each other, but they're having a lot of fun. See what I mean? So the point is that we humans think that something dangerous is going on, but we just entered the animal world where play is kind of rough. Like my point is that the way you engage with these animals is with the enjoyment and magic and trust that something good is going to happen. You, like I said, you'll notice that if you get swallowed by a whale, like Jonah, you end up actually kind of becoming a whale, which is one of the secret stories about what that means. So yeah, the answer is go for it. If Lassie's barking at you and starts running away, Lassie, this dog, is really saying, follow me, right? So your job is to run with Lassie, not tell me, oh, he ran away from me. See what I mean? That doesn't help. So yeah, go with the animal. That's the best answer.
Once you meet your power animal, how do you ask him, what do you do? Because then I got just stuck, kind of like lead me.
You were stuck. What do you do when you find your power animal?
Well, it's like a genie. 3 questions. I will answer any questions. I will give you any gift. You have to ask me 3 questions. So don't ask me for a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah, but my next question is connected to your question, because like Barnaby mentioned before that our power animals work really well when we work for someone else. Like, how do you explain that? Like those 3 questions, do we work on ourselves? Do we heal ourselves? Do we help others? Like, how do we connect that?
A really great question for your power animal that turns them on is, how can I help other people? What is my healing modality? Am I a massage person? Am I a nurse?
Psychologist.
Am I a psychologist? Or even the great question for Magda would be, how is my yoga and my meditation a healing practice for others? Or how is it or how can I get to higher consciousness thinking using Hatha yoga as an example? Because Hatha yoga means exercise, or at least it is an exercise, whereas yoga can actually open doors to meditation and higher consciousness, and most Americans are doing gymnastics in yoga in America. So the real question is, this is the way you ask the power animal, how can I bring my yoga practice for other people to their highest consciousness?
Okay.
One answer we got from Nia was tone of voice, which is when she's giving us these exercises, she goes into a dream state and she goes into conditional way of slowly talking that hypnotizes everybody. Something like that. I mean, who knows? So the real point is when you get to your power animal, you want to ask them useful questions, functional questions. What's your name? Your power animal. And pretty much anything you want. If you go in with an intention, if you come in with serious questions, you're likely to get answers. It's kind of like if you're having in a coffee shop with 5 people and you talk about the weather, that's what happened. But if you go to a coffee shop and you say, let's form a group so we can change our village into a more responsible place, civics or whatever, politics, then you start to, develop a purpose, that kind of thing. So you go in with purpose. You have to go in with intention, with your power animal, for sure. They like that. They like clear questions, like anybody else would. If I say to you, pass the salt, somebody may pass the salt to somebody. But if I say, John, would you please pass the salt to me? I'm going to get some salt. See? So how you phrase the question is pretty important. Being specific, in other words, is not a bad plan. You'll notice, in other words, that being practical, there you go, Alex, reasonable kind of person is useful. An organized person is useful going into this spirit world. We go to our power animals and we may see a couple bad characters we don't want to engage. The answer is don't bother. It's like any cocktail party. If there's 25 creeps, you walk out of the room. If there's one really nice person, you talk to them. And that's the kind of choices we make also in this world. The only thing that I must tell you is that I found that the spirit helpers are very nice people, pretty much all of them. And one intention I like to do when I'm going into spirit world is I say, if there's any creeps who want to come and take advantage of my situation here because I'm going into a kind of like a vulnerable dream state, would you please not come to visit me because I'm not interested in what you've got? So there might be some hungry ghosts, lonely people who didn't know they're dead because a lot of people die from accidents and whatever, and they don't know they're dead and they're kind of unresolved and they're still around the middle world and they're not really too harmful, but they're just basically energy fields that kind of want to connect to you. They're like entities, really, and I pretty much don't get them because I frequently say, when I begin a journey, we open the 4 directions, we actually open up our attention. I pretty much say if there's any like hungry ghosts, like fleas, parasites, mosquitoes, those kinds of people who are not there for the greater good or for my best benefit. No, thank you. Come back later. I'm not interested. I keep them away. And it's almost as easy as that. I also have a couple crows, and I tell my crows to guard me from any kind of negative energy. Don't forget, people throw out negative energy. Curses, oh, fuck you, and blames and shames and whatever. And these things are negative energy fields that just float around. And we can catch some of those negative energy fields by turning on the news or Facebook, I might add. And when we do that, we have to remember that's why we use the sage to clean ourselves out from very frequent sort of bad energy. And capitalism is sometimes predatory and doesn't really do the nicest thing to people. And we feel bad about that. And so we have to move into higher consciousness, as you know, and find a way of dealing with kind of pain body people who are grumbling, but not at their level. We have to, and they will actually maybe even blame us or shame us in order to try to take us to their level. And our answer is no, thank you. So in that sense, we're really trying to maintain our composure on our mountain, which is why I said at the beginning of the journey, go to your mountain. Did you feel about that you understand what it is to be on your mountain?
Yeah.
You're mute.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I'm on mute. The power animal took me to the mountain with the beautiful view. So, because I didn't ask any questions, I just asked, just lead me. Do you hear me?
What? No, go ahead, say it again.
I just didn't ask any question. I just said, lead me.
Oh, good. Lead you is okay. Lead you is.
So he took me to the mountain.
Wow.
So I was on the top of the mountain dancing. So
the animal knew what to do. What did it feel like there?
it was very good, comfortable, and a little challenging, but it was a lot of enjoyment and fun, a lot of joy.
Wow. Now, everybody gets a different experience on the mountain because it's your mountain, Mata. By the way, you deserve the joy. You can accept the joy. Don't have to feel bad about it. It's yours, and you earned it. And that's what it means to be on your mountain. It's actually interesting also because it's not joy being handed to you from somebody else. It's joy within yourself. You are the source of the joy.
Yeah, because at the beginning I was sort of like dancing with other people, but then, you know, I was by myself and very happy. So, and then I finished off with the meditation.
Yeah, Magda is a meditator, and one of the beauties of meditation is being present, getting to being present, and present with self, and knowing joy from oneself as source. Dancing with other people, I highly recommend. Dancing with self, I highly recommend. Many people don't actually use that as an option, which I find remarkable. And that's what I mean by on your mountain. I do a thing called shaman wedding because I feel like somebody who's connecting to somebody else needs to do it from their own mountain, meaning they are alone on your mountain, which is a remarkable way to connect with somebody else. From your aloneness, from your uniqueness, I might add, from your self-contentedness, like you're the source of your own joy and love. Because don't forget, people who get love from somebody else, if they're not sucking it from them, then everyone's dancing and having a good time. If it's a crutch and you're relying on that other person, and you feel like, you know, they're the source of your happiness, meaning you would be unhappy otherwise. This gets to be a little bit codependent. It's a tricky business. Love is tricky because we want to love somebody freely. I'm talking about shamanism here and how shamanism would look at boy-girl relationships. And I feel like it starts on your mountain alone, that's why I call it shaman wedding, and that at which point then you are then free to love. Like as an example, what happens when you wake up in the morning fresh and you go, hi, there's a really good looking person lying in bed with me. I wonder who that is. It's a good question because you may not know who it is. You want to look at them with fresh eyes. You want them to be able to surprise you. If you go and look at them only with your memories and with expectations, then they will only disappoint you, or they will actually, you know, irritate you by showing you some fantastic new quality. When in reality, we must know that we're all stardust, genius, goddess, godlike humans, that we're divine in our presences, damn clever, and rather remarkable individuals. Everybody can actually satisfy their partner much more if the partner is open and present to surprises. Because basically we're all burgeoning, we're all discovering who we are anyway. We know a lot about ourselves, of course. A lot of times the ego has correctly identified me. I know who I am. But half the time the ego has set up a limitation. Sometimes we set up, I had a woman I was dancing tango with, and she said, oh, you don't need to dance with me, I'm not worthy. And I thought, wow, I liked her dancing. And but I thought her ego has told her that she's not worthy. And that's not a necessarily good way to go about life. And you know what's not good about that is she should have asked me instead. Like, I think, why wouldn't she want to define her dancing by my appreciation instead of her, calculation? See what I mean? What you want with a partner, you want the partner to be able to see your beauty. If your partner sees your beauty, the job is done. So, get over it. And so that's really quite remarkable. Any other questions? Naga, you're on your mountain. You're happy.
Yeah, very happy. And actually, this is a different power animal that came to me, and it was German Shepherd. And
Wow.
I felt very, very safe with that power animal.
Wow.
That was actually pretty amazing because I'm not a dog person, and then it was this big dog, and it was wonderful.
Aha. They're really good because they're guards, they're loyal, they walk with you. Did something happen with that dog?
No, it just took me, like kind of flying to that mountain. So, and it was right by my side all the way, like all the time. He didn't disappear. It was just there, watching and kind of like supporting me.
That's true. The German Shepherd is slightly different from a wolf. They are the same, but the German Shepherd will not disappear. It will stay by your side in a good way. But the flying part is not a German Shepherd trick, by the way. So we definitely have a power animal that's beyond German Shepherd. Although I asked my dog, I said, you're not going to be able to travel with me when I do these journeys because you're a dog and dogs don't fly. And Vatiage, my dog, went, what do you mean? You fly? Why shouldn't I be able to fly? So yes. So the point was that I asked if something happened and you said no. And then your next statement was, we were flying. Apparently something happened. You were flying. This is one of the great things about these journeys. And one of the questions really about power animal is, do you fly? And the scientists were asking the shamans in 1969, they heard about the moon voyage in 1969, and the shamans go, well, we fly to the moon too. And the scientists, of course, reported that the shamans said that they flew to the moon, laughing, obviously it's a joke that the shamans fly to the moon. What the scientists didn't realize is that the shamans do fly to the moon in reality. And that is the big break, the big gap between science and magic. Is science doesn't necessarily realize that there are other forms of reality. If you call it your imagination, fine. But if it keeps you free from cancer, it keeps you vital and happy, if it gives you joy on your mountain, I would say that's a very significant kind of reality. If people are unhappy scientists and they're happy dreamers, I think that somebody's winning here. I'm just saying that I like the scientists. I myself am a pseudoscientist, but I also recognize that if you want to play the piano, there's black keys and white keys, and you kind of want to use them both because they have different functions, different jobs. So in that sense, flying is very legit. We should basically give up the rationalist insistence that only birds fly and airplanes fly. And we should also realize that the scientists probably didn't realize that in waltzing, the beat is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and the person is actually on the ground at 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If they're only standing on the ground at 2, what are they doing at 1 and 3? They're flying. See? Very true. So and acrobats, they're flying. And little 12-year-old girls in love, they're flying. And Christmas and Santa Claus and unicorns and mermaids. I mean, get over it, scientists. This is a kind of reality. And the idea that Alex has kids, he knows. So we look at them and we go, no, there really is no unicorn. that kind of thing. And we look at the little girl and we realize she's got power. She's got some amazing presence. She's got a thing called charm. And the word charm is actually, as we know, an old medieval concept of charms or good luck charms or charming, meaning there's a certain magical quality. And this charm is no joke. A person with charm or charisma is a very significant person. And it's not something that scientists know much about. But it's something that people feel. It makes a big difference. People get elected president because of their charm, stuff like that. And so we can't say that these things are not important. My point is that there's a really good running joke between science and mysticism. And the scientists basically say that something that's practical and real and necessary is important, and I agree. But they have to realize that there are other things might be necessary, like ice cream, etc.
Free Wi-Fi.
Or what? Free Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi. This was so great. What Alex discovered, which was quite correct, is that 10,000 years ago, everyone had free Wi-Fi. They could talk to the gods. They could talk to trees. They could talk to animals. They could talk to people 5,000 miles away. They could talk to dead people. They had free Wi-Fi.
With
And
an optimistic accent, we have to kind of wrap up.
yeah, then that's it. And as you know, children do this all the time. Children do this all the time. I might add just one little anti-scientific note, and that is that when children are talking to leprechauns and things like that, that makes them dreamers. It does not make them attention deficit disorder.